I am sure sports. You know me there, from coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get the sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know the game play, that me not say it. If me never seen a game, me not know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crap of players. We are good enough. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment. Let me know what your thoughts are.
Made up of 18 Jamaican herbs and spices, add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Trick Nick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.
All right. Good morning and welcome to I Am Sure Sports. I am your host, Manningsman, and today we have a very, very special program lined up for you. It is very early. It's probably one of our earliest starts in a long while since we have completed the World Cup campaign. But when you have very, very special guests, you have to go when they are available. And so we have a very, very special guest with us this morning for this a very concise, but it's going to be a very productive interview. He is the director and the principal at Mount Pleasant Academy in St. Anne. You know him, you have seen him, probably haven't heard enough from him. So he's going to give us a little bit of background, and he's also going to speak to us about a major event that is taking place from January the 20th to the 28th down here at the Mount Pleasant Academy home ground, and that is where the academy is, not at Draxall, where they play their Premier League games. And so he's going to come on. His name is Mr. Vannie Clarke. But before I bring him on, I want to remind you that if this is your first time to the platform, please remember to subscribe, like the video, and also share the video so that others can watch and learn and understand, and probably the content will be able to benefit them in some way or the other. As usual, we ask you to take a minute or two to stop, pause, and give thanks for life, because we're alive today. And as the good Lord says in the word, that we ought to look to the hills from whence cometh our help. Our help comes from the Lord who created the heavens and the earth. Without no further ado, I want to welcome this morning to I Am Sure Sports, Mr. Vannie Clarke. Good morning, Mr. Clarke.
Morning, Manningsman. Thank you for having me. Wonderful program you have here, and I'm thrilled and honored, humbled even, that you would invite me to be a guest on this platform. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome, man. It has been a long time in the pipeline, but finally the waters are flowing on a rainy day down here in St. Anne. So I am indeed delighted to have you on as well. I mean, I remember you from your time coaching at Brownstone High and a team called Stand Fast. I think
Yes.
my first participation in football as leading a team. I think Stanford was one of those teams that I came up against. Yeah, very good team they were, and then Brownstone High. Now you're at Mount Pleasant and continue to grow and do your work. So I must commend you on that as well. But I know a little bit about the background, so briefly, can you just share with the listening audience just how 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 you traveled your journey up to this point where you're now at Mount Pleasant from your beginnings in administrating, coaching, and being involved in the sport of football.
I've been involved in football pretty much all my life, sports in general. I am one of those persons who've gone across different sporting bodies. I'll tell you this, man, and man, not a lot of persons know, but in my younger years, I actually, one of the most fulfilling things that I did was volunteer to work with Special Olympics Jamaica. And during that time, it taught me so much about people. It taught me so much about caring for others. And I believe that perhaps that was one of the most significant determining factor in helping me to shape the way I see and deal with especially youngsters, because you have to have a special kind of patience when working in that environment. But it was simply the most fulfilling thing that I've one of the most fulfilling things that I've done. And moving on from there, I've been involved in the administrative aspect of St. Anne, Eastern Confed. At one point, I was deputy chairman for the Confed, general secretary for the parish of St. Anne. Also, I've coached a number of teams here in the parish. One of the strange things is that I believe I've lost a total of 3 football matches um, at the senior level in St. Anne. I once had a little stint at the Premier League level as well. Did I think okay? You know,
Which team was that you're a part of?
Benfica, the Benfica
Okay.
setup. When I went in, they were rock bottom, and we managed to move them to fifth in the table. So
And
it
for
it
those
was
are for the persons who may not know, Benfica is the same team that is referred to as Lime Hall, that played in Tier Two, last season. So it is the same. It's it's the same community, same team. It's just a
yes,
change of name, right?
just a change of name. Yes, you mentioned Standfast. Before that, I led the Juventus setup. We lost only a game at all season during the time that I was there, and that was in the boardroom. So I've been around. I've been with Brownstone High. I've been involved at the management level in my professional life for since 2006. So a lot of it I've studied both here and abroad in terms of football, done sports administration, that sort of thing, sports management. So from a personal perspective, it's one of the most difficult things for me to talk about because I generally, I find that what I've done is insignificant and it pales in comparison to what needs to be done. And so for me, man's man, it's always about just how many kids, how many youngsters I can help to become a better version of themselves. And that is the driving force. That's the driving force in my life. It's is what I think is the single thing that wakes me up each day and keeps me going. Just really hoping that I can help at least one youngster to change the way they see the world, the way they see themselves, and hopefully can add value to this wonderful country that we have called Jamaica and this world that we share.
Yeah. I mean, wonderful story. And I know that from the very onset, you have been also a part of the Mount Pleasant setup, especially. at the establishment of the academy kind of layout. I know originally there was the team itself in the community of Mount Pleasant, and then the whole evolution started taking place in terms of establishing the academy and getting kids from all over. And in the initial stages, they would go on tour, and you were instrumental in all of that. But there has been a evolution of the operation, the recruitment, and how the program is managed and handled to the point where now you had your own schooling per se, but now there's a partnership now with your castle. I mean, can you give us a little bit about the whole evolution of the the the, the management of the academy itself, and what led to this partnership with your castle?
So the I joined the Mount Pleasant organization back in what 2017. During at that time, the before that the organization was playing, I think, Division One,
Yeah.
Major League, and I joined when the kids program was due to come on stream. David Price was very instrumental in bringing me on board, and I'm eternally grateful to him for giving me that sort of platform as well and opportunity. So that's where I entered, and from that point on to this, when we started the discussion for having an academy, I'll share a real quick thing. When I was in the room, and there were architects and all of that, and project manager, everybody in the room, and I hear that we have to do a brief, building brief. No, I am a footballer and I am an educator.
Hmm.
I know nothing about a building brief, so I'm like, yeah, one of these geniuses, one of these very brilliant men or women must be the ones doing that. And I saw everyone looking at me and go, Vanny, you are the person here who understands what an academic is supposed to be like. You have to do this brief. And so from the writing of the building brief to the planning of the program, the design of it, just about all of it, I've been involved, and I've led it in the main to where we are today. So we started with the kids used to wear yellow, training in the afternoons, and we started there. And then when we got to the opening of the academy in September 2018, we really, a lot of persons, management, didn't know that Mount Pleasant was not football only, right? Because the football normally goes at the forefront of everyone's mind. But from the very onset, my own personal belief in it was that if it weren't for my academic profile, I would not have been afforded the opportunity to be in this space. And I was very, very cognizant of the fact that not every single youngster that walks into an academy is going to walk out a professional footballer. In fact, it will be less than more who walks out a professional footballer. A lot of times I hear Jamaicans, and we expect that, hey, every single child who has done well as a youth player is going to matriculate to become a top pro player. But it doesn't work like that. When you look at it, sometime back in 2017, I did a little bit of research. Haven't had need to do it since, so I haven't checked for any updated stats. But back in 2017, I remember seeing a figure where 6 million kids enter academies across the UK from as early as age 3. The percentage that made it to the top to play in one of the top flight teams was 0.001%.
Whoa. Out of 6 million, that, whoa.
Out of 6 million.
Whoa.
0.001%. Now, when you think about the number of kids in Africa, in South America, in North America, across Europe, all of them are searching for this one thing. There are only so many elite professional clubs there. Another common misconception is that every single professional footballer is going to be rich. If you do the checks, you realize that the average salary across Europe is just about anywhere from 1,500 to 4,000 euros per month. It's not rotten rich, get rich, floss and big cars, money. But of course, we see the flashy lights. And so that was very, very prominent in my mind. And whilst every day we will work to produce that next gem, the reality is that 99.9% of them will have to fit into a tier below that are fit into the regular workspace. And so how do we facilitate that was the prominent thing in my mind, man. And so everything that we did from the onset was to ensure that the academic foundation was very, very solid. So we did that. Then we really were hoping that we would get ISA membership. We thought that it's something that we would have been afforded. Unfortunately, and sadly, fellow Jamaicans, well-thinking Jamaicans, principals responsible for the growth and development of the next generation of Jamaicans, youngsters. Some of them even chastised JFF and chastised everybody else, decided that it was in their best interest not to have a Mount Pleasant involved in the Doncaster Cup. We've never had a visit from ISA membership, yet there were stories about us not having school, not having a school. No one came in and checked our curriculum.
Did they give specific reasons as what were the factors that would have prevented a school seeking to get membership from not getting it? Did they outline those things and give you like, okay, if you can address these things within this period, then we can give you membership? If these things are in place, is there a guideline that you had to work with, or you were just working blindly to get membership?
I will put it this way, man. When we started, I had ongoing discussions. I would say more or less we were being guided in what the requirements were by key persons within the executive of ISA, who would we had a visit from I don't think he would mind if I say this. We had a visit from early by Mr. Wright. Bless him. He's been nothing but supportive of us.
He is the principal at William Nib?
Principal at William Nib, yeah. Doncaster Cup chairman.
Chairman, right.
Right. Alfred Thomas as well has visited, right, and has been supportive as well. Unfortunately, their voices wasn't enough to sway those who are saying, oh, we are going to have an unfair advantage. The letter that we got one letter, right? And that letter said that we needed to be in existence for 2 years. Following that letter, once we hit the 2-year marker, we sent more letters. We never had a formal response, but I had a conversation with the the president, and he advised that, you know, the membership was uncomfortable. It's with us, and you know, they felt that we represented an unfair advantage because we didn't take kids through the normal GPEP program, you know, that sort of thing. So it is what it is. So when we didn't get that Manning's man, it was a massive blow to us because, as you can imagine, whilst we can and want to take the boys overseas to give them added international exposure, there are no youth competitions in this country. It's a competition, and granted, I'll be the first to tell you, and I said this to Keith, who's been supportive as well. I've said this to Keith, listen, don't get me wrong, I understand. I am a sports professional. I know what it should be. It's not the remit of ISA to provide youth development competitions. It's not their remit, right? It's the remit of other organizations, the JFF and so on. But the unfortunate thing is that ISA has filled that void, and they are the only reliable source of it in this country. And that's sad, because ISA competition is about it's not about, you know, providing competitive action. It's about recreation. That's what ISA sports should be. Of course, the competitive nature of us Jamaicans has, you know, sort of transcended that recreational theme to something much broader. But that's a different story. So, you know, it was very disappointing. It was a massive blow to us because, of course, the boys, in as much as they want to become professionals and
So
they value.
one of the things I want to ask, sorry to interject, but it was the promise of the Costa Cup or schoolboy football, let's put it that way, one of the things that probably motivated some of these players to actually join the academy, especially the older age. And then probably one of the reasons why some of them ended up after the 2 years and that promise not being fulfilled, probably went on to play Manning Cup or the Costa Cup in other schools and continue to be a problem that Mount Pleasant Academy plays, the lack of a quality league to be playing in when players are promised that they would probably play. Was that something that affected your player recruitment? And
Well, I certainly have never said to a parent that send your child to us, or say to a kid, come to us because we're going to play schoolboy football. We've never done that, because from the very outset, I was very, very aware that ISA membership is not a guarantee, because it's not mandatory that you automatically gain membership. So it was never a guarantee. So I've never, and I can't imagine that any member of my staff, and I know none of our recruiters back then or now has ever said to a parent or a child, listen, come to us, you are going to play. We are going to have you playing schoolboy football. So that was never, ever, at any time, a promise that we made. Never. So, and if you look at any of our historical literature out there, you will never see that, right? We've never promised that we will play the Costa Cup. Of course, we were hoping we would get it, but we never promised that.
But you did lose well, some players, I know several players over the last probably 2 to 3 seasons, they have gone back to play at different schools outside of Mount Pleasant, and now you have formed a partnership with York Castle where your players actually Mount Pleasant, York Castle was represented in the Da Costa Cup, did very well. Went to the Ben Francis and did well. in there as well. Did well. Got to the second stages of the probably for
No, the
first
third
time
the
of
third stages.
yeah, this is the first time in a very long time that because generally in St. Anne and Marcus Garvey, Ocherius High are probably the teams that go through York Castle sometimes
Brownstone High.
Brownstone, right? So they got through. Yeah, how is that partnership going, and is this going to be continuing, or it was just like a test run to see what it would look like, or this is something that Mount Pleasant will be doing going forward?
Generally, I do the test runs privately. I don't do the test runs publicly. So once we go on the market, it's ready, and this is no less. Once we didn't get ISA membership, or once I recognized that we weren't going to get ISA membership, then of course we want the kids to play. It's tradition. It's there, you know. So we wanted them to have that opportunity. And we started looking at potential areas. One of the issues that you have is support within the schools for the sport, and what kind of support structure will be able to bring to bear around the players. Now they are used to a particular standard here at Mount Pleasant, and that standard needs to be maintained constantly and improved upon, not get less. So we were searching for a viable partner, and what transpired with York Castle was a little bit of deliberate, intentional planning, but also a touch of good luck coming out of another partnership. So Mount Pleasant, we were actively engaged in a partnership plan with Delaware State University. And that partnership is going to allow us to offer sports management to a degree level through Delaware State University, psychology and associate's degrees in sciences, in the sciences. So we were having those discussions, and during the same time, in the same period, the COVID-19 pandemic was around, and we had scaled back the, the our growth agenda, and we needed numbers. We needed numbers to make that partnership a viable option for Delaware. Oh, and there is aviation management as one of the programs that will be offered through the Delaware partnership. So we needed numbers. And when the vice president of Delaware came down and met with us here at Mount Pleasant, and I was thinking that this is something that I'm going to bring all the high schools in St. Anne on, and Trelawney and the environment, and then hopefully spread it to the wider Jamaica. But we needed a starting point. And when the team went to the Ministry of Education, because nothing that we do, Mannings man, is done without the Ministry of Education from an educational standpoint. Nothing that we do, we don't lean on them for guidance and support and that sort of thing. There have been some wonderful persons within the Ministry of Education who have been supporting me since the very beginning. And so that happened. They went there and they met Mr. Treasure, and that conversation started there. And then, so the genesis of the partnership didn't start primarily in sports. It started through the academic programs, and then we went, let's make this fulsome. So right now we are a total union. We are a total union. So it's not something that was a one-off, or the Mount Pleasant boys go camp at York Castle, for the purposes of the Doncaster Cup. No. The partnership with York Castle is allowing us now to have a full Cape curriculum. We were doing a few Cape subjects before, even though we didn't have boys at the Cape level, right? In terms of years, chronological years, but we have boys who, by virtue of the way how we approach our academic programming, were being exposed to Cape and actually passed Cape subjects. But the numbers that we have here in terms of students, it would be difficult to bring in more teachers, because the student to teacher ratio would just be way out of whack. It was already out of whack because we were covering so many subject areas. And so this partnership now with York Castle opened the door to 20 odd other Cape offerings. And so that's where that started. So it's something that the Ministry of Education has given its blessing. It's all our correspondence is generally copied to Dr. Cassan Troop and that sort of thing. So it's a full-blooded. It's not something that we do under the cover of night and sneak it under. It's nothing like that. So it's a full-blooded thing. It's set to increase and improve.
All right, we have been some heavy showers in St. And I don't know if there are showers where you are, so you're hearing them in the background.
Not yet, but I'm hearing them in your background.
Yeah. All right. So tell us about, because I know you have school to go back to. We're almost on the half-hour mark, and I know you're supposed to talk to us as well about a major thing that is happening at Mount Pleasant in January, and then we can come back depending on time to some of those other things. But from the 28th of January, and I'm going to put up the flyer. That is the flyer right there. And I want you to take some time and talk to us about the purpose of it, who you're partnering with, who can attend, the date, and the cost for attending, and how it's going to work.
Thank you so much, because this has been something that, for me personally, is a personal fulfillment. It's something that has been in the workings for a few years now. We just didn't have the right partners to make it happen. But fortunately, with Generation Next, I found a good partner to make this happen. So we're having this massive, absolutely massive football combine. And I want to call it even more than a combine. It's a recruitment exercise, because those eligible to attend and participate range from age 13 through to age 24, both on the males and females side of the aisle. I don't know if anything like that has ever happened in Jamaica, where you have a combine that looks at both sexes at the same time. Certainly, I've never heard of one, and I've definitely never heard of one that is focusing on both high schools, colleges, high school, colleges, universities, semi-pro and pro teams. We have scouts coming to represent, to look at young aspiring players, footballers. So we are targeting those young ones playing Premier League, playing Tier 1. If you think you are good, you think you have what it takes to get one of these opportunities, it's yours for the taking. What I will say is that Generation Next, we did one of this in in Antigua last year. 18 youngsters in Antigua were recruited, 18, and got scholarships. Now, compare the population and the footballing culture of Antigua to the population and footballing culture of Jamaica, and you are seeing that the team that we're bringing are used to finding talent, but not just finding the talent, but having the kind of impact and clout within the clubs, universities, and colleges to get those they identify in. That's important. Now, I just really quickly want to go through some of the scores before I get to the costing and how the day will look. We have Tyrell McLeod coming. We have Philip Clarke coming. We have Spencer Hamilton. We are still working to bring Antoine Thompson in. Mickey Adams. And Mickey Adams is a former Leicester City manager. Right? He's now head of football for Brookhouse College. We have Laurie Dudfield, who's a former Premier League player. We have Sam White, and we have Martin Marlowe coming. Now, these scouts will be looking for players for some of these entities. Let me just name a few. I can't go through all of them, but I'll hit some of the big ones. They're looking at players for Norwich City, Colchester United, Blackburn Rovers, Lincoln City, Warwick Institute of Sports. We have Soccer Assist on board as well. And Soccer Assist, a lot of Jamaicans may be familiar with them. But Soccer Assist represents over 2,000 colleges and universities in the US. Hartpury College, Reading Football Club, Dubai City FC, Coventry City, and Fleetwood Town are a few of the clubs and universities, colleges, etc., that the scouts will be looking to recruit for. Now, if I were a young man at age 18, 19, 20, I am thinking that worst case, 21, worst case I get a well, I don't know if I want to call it worst case, but we want to go to the shiny lights of the UK. But I get a contract at Dubai City FC. If I get a 2-year contract on a Dubai City FC management, I am nice. I am nice.
Indeed, Dubai.
Yes. So we are looking at the US. They're recruiting for the US. They're recruiting for the UK, and they're recruiting for as far as the Emirate of Dubai. Right? That's how we have spread this thing wide. Now, and as I said before, remember it's from both males and females. There are tons and tons of colleges and universities that the scouts are recruiting for as well. As you can imagine, to put together something like this is very costly. We are anticipating huge numbers, so we have dedicated 8 days to get this done. We want people. Sometimes people turn up for a 1-day event, and you are nervous, you are anxious, and you just never provide your best self. And so we have spread this across 8 days to ensure that you are able to give off your best. So to do that, flights from all over, meals, accommodations, etc. It's an expensive venture. We're asking the participants to contribute £40. You are better at math than I am, but that's somewhere.
That's like 8,000.
Yeah, 7,500, 8,000 Jamaican dollars. For what the opportunity represents, I would say, if I were a dad with a child who is of age and who has skills, I would save myself. I would, forget about 2 cigarettes and 2 bottles of beer and ensure that my son is here. If I was a young adult, I would forget about a bottle of rum and 2 bottles of boom and ensure that I put it here and give myself an opportunity. But seriously, for what the value is, we couldn't put it all together and fund it all without asking for a little bit of support from the participants. And some persons were texting me to ask if it's a scam, because they know most times, well, everything that Mount Pleasant does for the
It's
footballing
generally
mind
free.
is generally free, right? But we are about to hit what they call it, a depression, or a recession. We're about to hit a recession, a global one, and we are just coming out of a couple of years of suppression due to the pandemic. So we we have to ensure that we are able to bring this value to Jamaicans, but also ensure that what we're bringing is something that is worth every single penny that we're asking them to put out. And as I said, the reality is that we were able to get 18 recruited
Yeah.
in
Is
Antigua.
is this so there's a you need to tell people, like, if they're interested, how soon they need to register, where they need to register, do they pay when they get there, or is there a link to pay when they register for it, and does the registration, so it's basically 7 to 8 days. Does that mean when I pay $8,000 I can come every day, or once I'm seen, that's it?
All right.
So explain how all of that, the dynamics of it will work out.
All right. So it will depend in terms of the number of games, etc., that you play. It will work. It will depend significantly on the numbers. We are hoping to cut off at around 800, maximum 1,000. And but the registration process is really, really simple. Visit the Mount Pleasant Academy website at www.mountpleasantacademyja.org. Once you do that, right on the front of the screen, first thing that will pop up is this flyer, and it will go register here. You click on that, it will take you to a link, put in your details, and you tell us whether or not you want to pay online, meaning you have a credit card or a debit card that you can use to pay online. You select pay online, and it will take you to the banking details, to a secure page that will allow you to safely complete the banking transaction online. Or you can choose to go into the bank. It will ask you if you want to go into the bank, and you select that. That's the option that you want to do, you go into the bank. The banking information is there as well. You can go into the bank and you lodge the money to that account. Or if all of that fails, or you don't like any of those options, you can come in to Mount Pleasant here. We have dedicated persons who will sit down with you, complete the registration process, and you can take the £40 to us. And we will register you right here. And after that, we will communicate with you. You have up until next week, the 18th of January. You have up until the 18th of January, because, of course, we were cutting it off at the 16th, but we have extended it by 2 days to allow as much time for persons to get themselves together. You do that, we have those 2 days that we will communicate to you how you will operate within the the duration and throughout the duration of the combine. But for now, get registered through whichever means you feel most comfortable, and we will for sure have a wonderful time next year and next week. And I'm sure, starting next week, and I'm sure there are many, many talented Jamaicans here who will benefit from this opportunity.
Are persons from outside of Jamaica allowed to participate? One, and what do players need to take? Is it just your gears, and or they need to bring lunch and stuff, or do anything will be provided once they get there?
The
Go ahead.
the schedule will probably be depending on the numbers. We are still working out with Ricky at Generation Next. We are looking at afternoon schedules because we know kids will have to go to school. Some people may still have work, etc. So we are looking at afternoon schedules starting at 3 or 3:30 thereabouts for most afternoons. But we are also looking at for the weekend, next week, Saturday and Sunday. Then we may do an entire day. We will have things here on sale, snacks, etc. But also we will provide, rehydration and so on, so they don't need to worry about rehydration. They need to bring their football boots, their socks, shin guards, whatever they are comfortable in, and a proper top. We'll provide numbered pennies and so on, so that the scouts can identify them. So when they are out there playing, they will be uniformed in their teams, but they bring their jerseys or socks or whatever they need to play and whatever they need to be comfortable.
And
And
okay,
the other question that you asked was whether or not external persons external to the island of Jamaica can participate. Absolutely. We've had questions from persons in the US. I know at least one person living in Canada is coming for the combine, and I'm sure there is, well, yesterday my team was working on that. One person that I can remember offhand right now, definitely coming from the United States as well. I believe there are persons coming from the Cayman Islands as well. So there are a lot of interest from persons outside of the island.
okay, and one of the other question is that I want. Well, why don't it? I don't want to explain to people because I don't want them to turn up at Draxall.
No,
All
no,
right.
no, please don't turn up at Draxall. The venue is here at Mount Pleasant Academy. Come to Runaway Bay. If you're coming from the east, turn left, come up the hill, see that wonderful stone wall. You will see the sign. You are now approaching Mount Pleasant Academy. Once you get up at the top of the brow of the hill, you will see our sign and logo there. Turn left at that gate and come to Mount Pleasant Academy. A lot of persons have wanted to see what inside of the academy looks like. This is your opportunity to come and see what inside of the academy looks like. But it's here at the academy. It's not at Draxall at all. It's here at the academy that you will come to.
All right, wonderful. All right, so people get information. The flyers are out. You'll be hearing more about this. I'll be pushing it on the platform so you guys can sign up for it. Very good opportunity, and I hope as many of you as possible will make the most of it. Right? Don't miss your moment. Do not miss your moment. All right. It's better to go and it don't work out than to not go and don't know that it would have worked out. So go. It's $8,000. It is your career. It's your life, right? You spend 8,000 Jamaican, and you could be earning £4,000 a week, right? I mean, it's worth the investment. So invest in you and make an effort. Sometimes you have to borrow the money. You have to beg the money. You understand me? But don't rob the money, right? Just borrow or beg, right? But and we have around 10 minutes to go before we close, and I want to say thank you to everyone. So many persons saying it's sounding good. It's very good from Omar Fowling to Gene Lewis and Barrington and Michael Sadler, Ricardo Baggio, Kevin Williams. I mean, all of you, every single one of you watching, we really appreciate you coming on and being a part of the show. And thank you so, so much. But Mr. Clarke, the one thing that a lot of persons have been asking about is the transition of the players into the setup. And I've been doing my best to present a defense, and the defense that I've presented for the club and that is the pro club and the academy players is simply this, right? That there is a right, and you said it earlier that across the world, most players who come through academy don't end up in senior teams, at least at the big clubs. So the expectation that the Mount Pleasant senior team should be packed with academy players is really a farce, because it's not the way of football. Generally, you build players in your academy to sell, because the players in your senior team are players who are probably further along their career and are already developed. So you normally sell out your academy players, right? Because you develop them and you know what it takes, and then you buy to win at the highest level. I don't know if that is the best defense, but that is the one I've been using, because people keep on saying the academy is not working. It's a failure. And the primary reason for that is they're not seeing enough of the academy players in the senior setup. I think Devontae Campbell is the only one who has played this season. I know last season in the pandemic year, that abbreviated season of the JPL, we saw Zajay and Tajay, and we saw Christie, and we saw Gaynor, Gowie, and Gary Mills and stuff. But I mean, all of those players are basically not a part of the setup. I mean, you know, maybe you have a better defense than I do, or you have a better argument for it. So
Thank you for putting up a defense for us, Manning's man. But I don't think there needs, it's something that needs defending really. I think a lot of the times persons speak in ignorance of the developmental process, as it were. So one, when we started the academy, what were the ages of the kids? How many of those kids who started at the higher end? First and foremost, when we started the academy, our primary, that first year of recruitment, our primary focus wasn't on only getting the best footballers. If we were thinking about getting the best footballers that we could find, that we saw during that time, we would probably have opened the academy with 8 or so kids. But our intention at the time was to hit a number. So our focus was a number, right? Of course, we had some good kids in. But before we got to the end of year one, a lot of the boys that we brought in weren't ready for what we had to offer, right? And so a number of things, I don't want to speak to all of them in specificity, right? But a number of things happened, right? And so we haven't graduated a batch as yet in a Manning's man. We haven't, right? And then you mentioned it earlier, some of those who were at the older age, their parents and themselves weren't, I want to put it this way, suffered from a little bit of a little bit morally bankrupt, you know, because you give your word, you make your commitment, and we fulfill our end of the bargain, and then someone comes and give you $100,000 or $150,000, and you move your child, right?
be careful. No. What?
I don't have to be careful. It's
Are
true.
you speaking hypothetically? $150,000 a kid. This is bigger than JPL transfers. What are you talking?
Listen. I have
Whoa.
this summer here, I sat, one of my boys had the phone on speaker, and he said, "Sir, listen." And the recruiter was on the phone telling him exactly how much he's going to get and what he can do for his mother and whatever. So I don't have to speak hypothetically when I say that,
Whoa. Well,
right?
there are many people who have long believed that this is happening, but nobody except you so far has admitted that there is an exchange of money in this. Many people believe it, but I think it is the first time somebody has been bold enough to actually say it happens. Because
Well,
when
it
it
happens.
yeah.
It happens. A little youngster here is now 14 years old. When he was coming to Mount Pleasant, his grandmother said to us that, "Look here, they are pressuring me so hard." She went. They brought in. They brought in a stove. They brought in a washing machine and a dresser. And she don't know why they bring it come to her house, because she never tell them to bring nothing come, right? Um, so it happens, man in man. It happens. It's not something. It's the biggest unspoken secret in Jamaica. It happens, right? And so you find that parents, I shouldn't say parents, because I should say some, because I've had some of my parents who are absolutely amazing. Some of the things that I can tell you because some of my parents who were targets of the recruitment told me themselves, right? That this is happening, that is happening. So it happens. But anyway, that's beside the point. The point I was making though is that, listen, we've not had an opportunity to take through a batch, right? So that's one. But more importantly and more significantly, the process for development is of a football player, a young one, is not linear. Jamaicans like to think that every single exceptional performance by a youngster at this youth level is automatically going to translate to an exceptional career at the senior level. It doesn't always work like that. And you normally find, do your checks, man's man. I know you do that most of the time. You can say this. How many of the really, really exceptional ones globally at the youth level go on to have exceptionally fantastic senior careers? It's the ones, the nondescript ones, who go on to have these long careers. It's the ones who nobody talked about before. It's the ones who never look like footballers. Jordan Henderson has won the Champions League. I'm not a Liverpool fan. Jordan Henderson won Champions League, captain England, captain Liverpool. But every single year of his youth development, he was on the cutting list at Southampton every single year. So the point I'm making is that it's not linear. So it's not automatic. But also what Jamaicans do not readily recognize, you have recognized it. Outside of the start of this season, and remember that the boys were playing the Costa Cup this season, right? At the beginning of this season. But the last 2 seasons, we had a game last year where 6 academy kids started for Mount Pleasant. The Mount Pleasant ended our campaign at the quarterfinal stage last year, correct?
Yes, and
Senior team.
Javon Mills played right back.
Javon Mills started both legs of the quarterfinals at age 16, right? So Devontae Hodges, who I see now, rightly so, is being, bigged up and so on as starting or getting playing time at Maroon. Devontae Hodges played Premier League for Mount Pleasant at age 14, 15. Right? So the reality is that we have to manage the injection of the youngsters into the senior setup. But more importantly, we have to find them consistent. I have 68 boys here and 68 boys here now, right? The 68 of them cannot play in the first team setup. Not all 68 of these boys here are here because they are exceptional football talents. Mount Pleasant is a charity. The academy is a charity. And so there are boys who are here who, I wouldn't say they are here for other reasons, but they are here because their circumstances transcended their football brilliance. And we can't veer too far from our responsibility as citizens of this country that we need to think beyond a trophy, but we have to think about the lives that we have to impact, that we must impact. And so every day, I feel that Devontae Campbell, he's done well, right? Tajay Anderson would most notably still be in, but he suffered a horrific injury close to the end of the season last year, and is just now getting back to being able to play, right? And Gainer is still in the setup there. Gainer is there, right? He's still in. Gainer, if you remember, was the first one who got in. Gainer and Chang, but Chang got an offer or got a call from a club in Germany, and it turned his head so massively that the kid really, I've never seen anything derail a kid so fast, right? I don't know if you remember Malik Chang played center forward.
He's at BB Co, and then he ended up being went back to BB Co.
Right.
BB Co.
He actually went to Manchester and then ended up at BB Cook and was in the we sent him on loan to Treasure Beach. So
well, the good thing is that there are players from your academy playing in the league, because Prince Christie starts for Falkland, I believe.
For Falkland, yes.
I think Zajay is there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it's and the other thing too, man, we are not 10 years old, we are 4 years old.
Yeah, I think a lot of people believe that the academy has been around for decades.
Forever.
But we are 4 years old.
Yeah. We are 4 years old.
I have a couple of questions on it. I have a couple of questions here, because I know you promised me, and I don't want to go beyond your time. But let me just take a couple, just 3 questions, because
we can do 5 more.
All right. So this one says, Mr. Clarke, if a student leaves Mount Pleasant Academy for a high school in JA, will they go straight into D Cup or Manning Cup, or they have to sit out a year before playing?
Denton, I am not very. It depends on the rule of the day. At ISA is my response to that. But in this new dispensation with our merger with York Castle, if they leave now, then they will absolutely have to sit out a year.
Okay. All right. This one says, is there a contract that can protect your youth players? Meaning, once they come to Mount Pleasant, they can't just up and leave and just go and play for a next club, play for a next school, that kind of a thing. Is there any sort of
We can choose to sue the parents.
okay?
We haven't gone down that road as yet. But what I will say is that it's absolutely disheartening the way that I don't want to blame the parents. I want to blame
Circumstances.
not even that. I want to blame the coaches.
Okay.
Right? I want to blame the coaches and these persons who can readily see what Mount Pleasant is doing for these boys in terms of lifting them. We've cut boys from Mount Pleasant, and I get called, oh, there's a wonderful kid over here in St. Thomas, man. Wonderful. He's brilliant. And I said, what position is he playing? The center forward. Is he brown? Yes. Is he short? Yes. Is he quick? Yes. Go and ask the coach of the team that he's playing for if his name is X. And when the person called back and say, yes, the name is what you said it is. I say, yeah, man, is one of mine. You know, we released him earlier. The value of the work that we are putting in that youngster and another one that went to a team in St. James, when they played against the under 13 group here, they couldn't cope. But when they go into these environments, the work that we put in elevates them above most of what's in there. So the value of the work that we are putting in, we have to at some point decide that, okay, we want to see Jamaica as an entity, as an overall country, improve its footballing stock, and Mount Pleasant can do that. Do I want to win a Manning Cup or do I want to win an Augusta Cup? Absolutely. Do I need to poach or do I need to develop? Can I develop? Can I poach? How do I go about that? It's something that each individual have to go into their own moral code and see where their compass ends up.
Yeah. But I like what you said. So people know this. So now, because of the partner with the York Castle, if a player leaves, they will have to sit out a year because of the partnership. Yes. No, right? Okay. Yes. This one says, can you ask if it is possible for a coach to visit and observe the academy? This is someone who is in the States.
It is indeed possible.
So they would have to just reach out to the academy and make those arrangements, and they can. Even persons from the Caribbean as well, if they want to do something, is it something that you're welcoming? This is what we do. This is how we operate, and they can. Okay.
We're willing to share.
All right.
Don't have a problem.
And then it says training compensation. Isn't that the answer if the player progress?
It is the answer. The issue is that because a lot of the boys who either we cut or they leave, I still stay in touch. I still stay in touch with a number of them, and I always want to see them do well. The problem is that a lot of them leave, and then their quality, where they were in their development, it's stalled. That's the reality. A quick stat for you. We've had just about 18 or so players since. Remember, Mount Pleasant is 4 years old. We've had just about 18 players representing or being selected to various squads, national youth squads since our inception, right? We've had captains selected to 4 of those squads, right? As in the ultimate captain being from Mount Pleasant. Now, in 4 years, we've been able to do that, have that level of representation. The last under 14 squad that was being selected, by the time they got down to the final cutting, Mount Pleasant would have had 11. And not by bias or anything, 11. All the boys who were selected went through all the various trials and everything, went around with everything. It wasn't any bias or anything. It was just the quality. So my point is that it's not just what we do, it is also how we do what we do and when we do what we are doing. So the developmental process is key. And sometimes I, as a coach, I am thinking this child will be able to help me win this competition. Yes, he may be able to, but he's not, he's at a stage in his development that moving him from the environment that has been guiding him and tailoring that developmental process is only going to ultimately stymie him. And he may come back a few years later and still progress, but you have stalled his growth. No, we are not affiliated to Chelsea FC. I'm seeing that question.
Yeah.
Michael, we're not affiliated, but what I can tell you is that we are working to develop partnerships with a number of different international clubs. I've had multiple discussions with AC Milan. I spent a week with Edin Terzic of Borussia Dortmund when he was sporting director. Also, we've had multiple discussions and sharing of ideas with Inter Miami. Just this week, on Wednesday it was, we've had the former owner of Sunderland FC is looking to buy another very prominent club in England. I can't say no because the deal isn't, it's about 99.9% complete. But we had him here on Wednesday, meeting the kids, talking with them, and we are discussing how we bring both clubs together once he takes both organizations together once he takes control of that. So of course we're doing these partnerships with a view to ensuring that our players our kids have very good opportunities. I have a very good relationship with Blue Diamonds in Canada as well. So we're spreading our wings. We are spreading our contacts and ensuring that we are able to give the kids the best opportunities once they are ready to take it on.
Yeah, I think that Chelsea question has to do because Mr. Gould has long been linked in the former years of Chelsea. There has been and I think that is why that question came up. So is the aim to use the academy to fuel the JPL team or to send the players to more professional setups overseas? I think some of that was answered in terms of that the life circumstances of the players, it transcends the football. And it's a charity, which is suggesting that sometimes it's just to help a young man, even if he doesn't play football, it's to provide everything he needs to get him to, a place in life where he can live a meaningful life. But go ahead and take that question.
Yes, I'll answer that question with another question. How many Jamaican footballers would say that the trajectory of their football career is to ultimately play for a Jamaican Premier League team, and that would be the be all and end all of it? I would hazard a guess that you would be hard pressed to find one. So for us, it's about giving the kids the tools, and then putting the support system around them so that they are able to maximize their talent and maximize their potential. We have now created the Mount Pleasant Elite Management Services Company, which is the management entity that will guide these young men into their pro life and help to, if it is Jamaica, manage their careers in Jamaica. But ultimately, hopefully, it will be more in those environments where they can earn larger sums than they would in a JPL team in Jamaica. I know the question is more specific to fuel in our Premier League team. Some will get in there. The aim is to have them getting in there younger and younger each year. And that will happen with time as we are more attractive and we start to get more of the top, because as of today, you know, man, Jamaicans don't understand that if you have 5 kids and you have best player 1, best player 2, best player 3, Mount Pleasant is probably still only getting best player 4 or best player 5. That's the reality today as we speak, because there is still the cultural thing that, listen, my child should be going to a traditional high school, or there is the belief that, look here, I want to be careful. I went to York Castle. I can say that. So my son and York Castle is a traditional footballing team. So my son needs to attend York Castle and represent York Castle. I'm not hearing you at all.
It's all right. I know that, because I'm gonna say, nah, man, me's a Mannings man, me's a JC man, me's a KC man, me's a Woolmers man, a Georges man, and traditional, like I said that. So Mount Pleasant is not the first choice. So which is a very important point. I see we have one of our Trelawney correspondents. They call him Balakar. He says, you as a coach no believe in Trelawney Bala. One of Mount Pleasant Academy best striker, a Trelawney him from. And he said that is just my opinion. So I don't know, do you have Trelawney players in the academy as well?
Of course.
I don't know.
Of course. I personally came to Trelawney to look at kids in the when they were running the primary school competition there. We have more than one youngsters here from Trelawney. In fact, this year when we played the Doncaster Cup, one was in Trelawney who he didn't want to come in for the summer. I didn't want to spend this summer here, and I made sure to bring him in. So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Balakar, this is I am sure sports, but you're not really sure about what you're saying, you know.
No.
But I'm hearing about this player in the under 17 team that I can't remember seeing him, because I normally know some of the guys because I see them at Draxall when Wilberforce.
Odin.
Yeah. And there seems to be some controversy surrounding him as to where he belongs, whether he's a Mount Pleasant, because I understand that he could be. At first, I heard that I see on the thing that they say Mount Pleasant, but there's an ex-club that says it's actually their player, you know. So I'm not sure, like, you know, with kids how this thing work out. Sometimes when the kids are young, I guess they can be connected to several different clubs because there can be no legal.
Yeah, you know, but Wilberforce was the leading goal scorer for York Castle this year.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. But they're saying that he is. Hey, I don't know. Rumor has it. Yeah. All right, but I know you have to go, but I really want to thank you so much, Mr. Clarke, for taking the time to come on this early. I know you have a long day ahead of you. But really appreciate the conversation and appreciate the time. And you can tell by the comments that a lot of persons really garner a lot from it. I'm hoping that you'll get 800 to 1,000 persons for the combine from the 28th of January to the 28th of January at the Mount Pleasant Academy, not at Draxall. And there's a minimal cost of like 8,000 Jamaican dollars. That is well worth the investment in your personal life. So bring all the kids. If you're in the Caribbean, my friends from Trinidad and Tobago, you can fly over. And I mean, you know, maybe reach out to Mount Pleasant. Maybe they'll have a place for you that they can help you to have some accommodation so you can stay for the trials. If you're from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you can come in as well. You understand me? Put some pressure on the Jamaicans, man. Don't let all the opportunities just fly for them. Somebody you're asking about Olivier Brown from Trelawney. He's still a part of Mount Pleasant.
No, Olivier is through with his academic programming with us. I believe he stayed with us throughout. I believe he left for Heart.
Okay.
Yes, he wanted to pursue his training in, I don't remember if it's food preparation or something like that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
All
man,
right.
but wonderful kid, wonderful kid.
All right, so there you go, Mr. Clark. Listen, I'll give you your final words in terms of your thank yous and stuff. But again, we want to personally thank you for coming on and taking time out of your busy schedule to come and be a part of I Am Sure Sports. And I'm hoping we'll have more updates on what is happening at Mount Pleasant as time progresses. And again, kudos, well done. It was good to see finally Mount Pleasant playing some DaCosta Cup. I mean, I didn't know York Castle have footballing fans, but it was good to see that after, if it were Ochai and Marcus Garvey Technical High School, then I would expect that. But I thought York Castle was about the cricketing fans, but the football fans actually turned up. So thank you so much for coming on, and all the best to the Mount Pleasant family in all their endeavors. Now and going forward.
Well, thanks for having me, management. Mount Pleasant is going to continue to grow from strength to strength. As I said, hopefully, as we push through these days and months, we'll start to get closer to the top of the athletic profile that is out there. But we'll do amazing work with every single child that comes through the door here, and we give them all the love, all the support. And Jamaica is in no doubt, or can be in no doubt, that the work that we are doing and intend to continue doing with the youngsters will serve us both from a football perspective and just as human beings, um, in the years to come. And some other time, man, I will come back on the I am sure sports talk, and we'll discuss some other things. I know you're going to invite me back. I love the program.
Yeah,
Absolutely
but
love the program.
definitely. As you see, all of
Hopefully
a
you
sudden,
can tie me down
yeah,
sometime.
yeah, and then all these people know. Listen, the show have to end. Mr. Clark has to go to work because I see Michael Saddle asking. Balakari answered the question. He says Olivier Brown, very very good player, but the players decided to go to Heart and continue his studies in food preparation, Mr. Balakar. He did answer. All right, so you have to listen to that. But he did answer and say that about the player, that he was a very good player, very good young man who is at heart getting
Yes.
his qualifications. All right. Again, please remember, not everyone wants to be a professional footballer. Always remember that. And then, will Mount Pleasant be building a stadium in the near future? There.
That is a little bit above my pay grade. Um, but really, really happy to have been on. I really want to just say thanks to the many persons who've supported me and who continue to support me. Your prayers, your energy really gives me strength in those days when it gets dark and when it's really difficult. Also, just to give a shout out to the good gentleman and his wife who's made all of this possible, Mr. Peter Gould. He has taken to Jamaica as if, you know his entire generation, was born and bred here, and he himself, was born on the rock. So I mean, no praise can be too high, when you speak of him and his magnanimity. So really, really happy that we are helping Jamaicans. I really wish that more Jamaicans will take up the opportunity, and certainly for this combine coming up, it's an opportunity not to miss people, young players, young men, young women. Do not let this opportunity go by. We may never be able to put together something this big for a long, long time. So opportunity comes now, take it. It's $40. It's starting £40. Sorry, it's starting January 20th, and it runs from the 20th through to the 28th here at Mount Pleasant Academy. Visit the Mount Pleasant Academy's website at www.mountpleasantacademyja.org. Once you go there, click on the link, and you will be guided through the registration process. Do not miss this opportunity.
All right, so there you go, people. Want to thank Mr. Vannie Clarke, Director and Principal at Mount Pleasant Academy, for being on with us this morning. Want to thank every one of you for also being a part of this wonderful, wonderful discussion. So much from the beginning to the end, lots of information. Take time to go through it and take the details and seek to find a way of taking the principles from them to add value to your life. The thing is that information is important when it is applied in its right context. So take the information, analyze and understand it, and then apply it. Apply it where it matters in your own personal life. I mean, great work being done, and it would not have been possible without you, the viewers and subscribers. And so I want to thank you for your participation and your involvement as well. Want you to have a wonderful rest of the day. Again, thank you, Mr. Clarke. I'm going to release you so you can go, and then we'll do the ending. But thank you again for coming on, and look forward to having more discussions with you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. All right, so there you go. That was Mr. Vannie Clarke from Mount Pleasant Academy. People want to thank you. You know, when it gets to this point, there is one big thing. We end the show. But let me give you the details of what you need to do before you go. You have to hit the like button. If you have not yet subscribed to I Am Sure Sports, please go ahead and do so. Make sure you also share the content, right? It's very important that you share that so that some youngster listening can see the flyer, get the registration, and sign up for this very important combine that is happening January 20 to 28th at the Mount Pleasant Academy. I am management. This has been I Am Sure Sports, and as usual, when it gets to this point, we say we are over. And we are OUT out of here.
Yo, watch about dog. SK New Air this. The body out there. Sniper King I represent for I Am Sure Sports. You get to me, I say, when you want the latest news and sports and updates and all of that, check out I Am Sure Sports. You know the thing goes in. Remember, cover the whole island. Remember Kingston, Westmoreland, Galchester, Ocho-Rios, Galtigo Bay. Everywhere. I Am Sure Sports. Check it out for the latest news and latest updates. Sniper King I represent. Where them feel like, yeah. Someone on for the food from young, from where they knee height. I Am Sure Sports. Yeah, dog.